We have an extreme heat advisory today, and when I think about fishing the extremes, especially during the summer, I think about fishing deep and I think about fishing shallow, super shallow. And in today's video, we're going to explore both of those patterns to locate where those largemouth bass are at. Both of these fisheries are going to be largemouth fisheries, fishing deep water grass and deep water hard spots, and then fishing super shallow up underneath docks and in some of the lily pads that you guys might see behind me right now. So we're going to check out both of those patterns. I'm going to take you guys throughout my day, check out maybe which one works the best, talk about how I target both of these patterns and strategies, and really show you guys the best of both worlds. Let's dive into this thing. I really want to start deep. That was kind of my strategy, was come out and start deep, and then as that sun got really high, get up shallow. But I saw some active pads. I kind of got blown into this area and I was working on a video for Omnia, and I saw a ton of bluegills in these pads. So I figured I'd start out in these pads right now, see if I can't get a bite fishing this frog across the top of these pads, and then I'll push out off this break here in a second. But that's kind of the strategy. I'm going to start deep, and then once that sun gets really high, there's a ton of pressure on the lake, a ton of boats out here kind of blowing out everything in the middle of the lake to get up in the dirt and fish shallow. Good morning. How are you? Are you going fishing?
Yep.
Have a great day. Thank you. Told you guys I wasn't going to fish shallow very much right now. I'm going to pick up this jig to start. And to me, a jig is just like my confidence technique. So we're going to start fishing this jig on the outside grass line, and then hopefully get a pattern dialed in as to what we need to look for. And typically when I'm looking for a pattern out deep, it's depth, cover, and structure. And if you can figure out those three things, you can come up with a pattern to run it around your lake. I was honestly waiting to put this thing on. I didn't necessarily want to go to it first. I kind of would have loved for them to eat, you know, a regular jig or a big worm or something a little bit different, but this bait is just so good. This half-ounce sniper with a snack craw or something is just so deadly. Told you. If you want to catch them all the time, everywhere you go, you put that little snack craw on and go to work. If you want to catch them literally everywhere you go, put that snack craw on and go to work. It catches them everywhere all the time, no matter the species, it catches them. It's just so good. It is my confidence bait. Just like a jig is my confidence bait, like a real jig, that OW sniper, it fits right into there. There's one. That's a better one. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, bud. I love that bite. Just went to pop it. It didn't pop. Okay, there's just a bajillion bluegill out in this deeper grass, and that's what I'm keying in on. So I'm out here in 60 foot of water, or sorry, 14 foot of water, and look at, see, all these are bluegill here, and there's bass mixed in to those bluegill. Like these big marks right here, those are bass. I'm not really scoping them. There's one. Casting that jig out, letting it get to the bottom, and then you're seeing me kind of pop it up really hard. The goal with that is to try and get those fish to react to it, because with that much bait, I gotta get them to find mine, and I think they want to chase. So look, and they all follow each other in. So like you catch one and they like all decide to follow each other in. You can cast right back in there. You guys kind of saw me do it like right below the boat. But there's one. They're schooled up. Oh, son of a gun. When I'm fishing for largemouth during the summertime, there's two main keys that I'm looking for. Really three main ingredients, but two main keys. The first one, there has to be some sort of forage. There has to be some bait fish. If you're fishing shallow, there have to be bluegill shallow, or there has to be a bunch of crawfish that those fish are keyed in on. If you're fishing deep, you gotta have bait fish, shad. That jumped on full. Tiny one, like super guppy, but a bass. I was like, why did that not fall? So 1-8 it. Gotta have forage for those fish to key on, and then I like to have a combination of cover and structure. You gotta have at least one of those. You gotta have a depth change or some sort of structure on the bottom, or a piece of cover. In this case, I'm fishing around grass. It just happens to be on the ledge as well, where it falls from like 10 out here to 17. So there's grass on that ledge, especially on northern largemouth fisheries. That grass to me is really important. Post spawn in particular. There's one. Are you big? Are you even a bass? Oh my gosh. There's no way you're a bass, right? Yeah, you are a bass. You're a big bass. Whoa. Dude, that's like a 3.5, 4 pounder. Let's get a weight on you, buddy. No, back in there. 3.5, 4 pounder. That is sweet. These fish are so keyed in on those bluegills. Oh, I got smoked on the drop. There's one. Catch up to him. Eat this thing as it's falling a lot of times. They eat a lot of baits during the summertime as it falls. So you gotta really be a line watcher to be able to really see that bite and just notice, hey, my line's not falling maybe as far as I think it should be. They'll eat that bait on the fall a lot. Thanks, buddy. What I mean by line watching is I always keep my line semi-slack. Okay, so I have a little bit of bow in my line, and when they eat it, you can watch that bow kind of jump. That's typically how you know that they bite it on the fall. or you just feel them pull it away from you, but for the most part, it's, you got that bow in your line. There's one. I saw a fish jump over there. Look how far out he is. I saw a fish jump over there, so I cast that jig over. And obviously he bit. A fish bit. I don't know if it was the fish, but a fish bit. That's so funny. That little snack craw is hanging on for dear life. We're just gonna chunk him on there for now. There you go, buddy. Catch me some more. Before anyone says it, and I'm sure probably someone already has said it, you do not need live scope to effectively fish this pattern. I am fishing a drop with grass on it. You can do the same thing if you're fishing a point or a shell bar. Anything you find offshore, you can fish it without live scope. What live scope does is it makes you more efficient. It allows you to pinpoint that cast every single time. That's why you're able to get repeated fish, is because typically during the summertime, these offshore areas have multiple fish on them feeding around or feeding on those bait fish. So I would use my side imaging in this case, and I would graph the break. Now, a lot of these northern Michigan glacial lakes will have grass on that drop. If you can figure out where that grass is, figure out where those bluegills are around that grass, you can effectively fish this pattern. I'm sitting in 8 foot right now. I'm actually up on, I can see the grass in 8 foot, but I would sit off the break and flip to that grass. But using side imaging or just going around and fishing through it, you can figure out this pattern offshore without forward facing sonar. Thanks, buddy. A lot of times when you get in an area where there's a bunch of fish, not only will they follow those fish in and start to run that bait out when you hook them, but if you get them fired up, you can flip right back in there and catch at least one more. The one problem I'm having, and I can see myself having with this offshore pattern, is finding the right size. Yes, I'm able to weed through a ton of fish, but a lot of times when you find one that's not the right size, kind of all not the right size in that area. A lot of the old school ledge guys used to talk about stroking like a 3/4 ounce jig. You take that jig, wow, running out. You take like a 3/4 ounce jig, you'd let it get to bottom on the ledge area, and you stroke it and you pop it up really high. I'm trying to do that same thing with a lot smaller profile. I think a lot of these southern guys are missing out, and a lot of guys just in general are missing, oh, I missed one, are missing out by not fishing this. Oh, they're biting it on the fall. They're missing out by not fishing this jig. It's not just a smallmouth bait. Thanks, buddy. Trying to get that same thing as that stroking the jig thing, but with this compact profile. Problem I'm having is they're missing it. I gotta let them get it a little bit better. I feel them thump it. There's one. Dude, this jig is just... That's a big one. This jig is just so good. There's one. Good gracious, dude. I'm gonna say something, and I don't like to make these claims, but this is the best jig that literally no one is throwing for largemouth. These guys down south should be throwing this on ledges. Hard spot shell bars. Guys up here should be flipping it in grass. I know it's a football, probably scares a lot of guys away, but this is the best jig no one throws. So it's currently just after 9 o'clock. We've been fishing for about 2.5 hours, and we've caught a ton of fish offshore, out off that first drop where there's some grass on the ledge. And as I've mentioned a couple times, for me there's two main keys when I'm fishing offshore. The first one is some sort of forage, bait fish, in this case bluegill, and then either structure, the ledge, or cover. If you can find that magical mix where it's the grass on the ledge, where there's bait fish, then you can start to pattern it around your body of water. And I think we've gotten to that point. And I kind of knew that it was going to end up this way from the bait perspective. I was trying to hold out. I was trying to throw the big worm, the regular size half-ounce football or half-ounce casting jig, maybe a hair jig, but I knew if I picked this bait up I wouldn't be able to put it down. And it is a half-ounce OW Sniper compact jig. It doesn't have a weed guard, but I'm putting it in that grass, on the edge of that grass, and this to me is like the best jig that no one is throwing. It is so small, so compact, it gets bites, falls really fast, and especially during the summertime when those fish want to react to a bait, this to me is like such a killer bait for largemouth and smallmouth. Then I'm fishing on a TFO option 7.3 medium heavy and 14-pound test fluorocarbon. It's not a light line approach. I'm setting the hook on these fish, I'm boat flipping them in. To me, this is just such a deadly approach, and then you put that little snack craw on the back. These fish react to this thing, they'll eat it on the fall, but they'll also come over and eat it on the bottom. I knew if I picked this thing up I wouldn't be able to put it down, but it is the best jig that I probably have ever thrown from a numbers of fish perspective. But we're going to get back to fishing. I wanted to give you guys kind of a quick rundown of what I'm doing. Targeting that grass on the ledge where it drops off from that first break, 8 to 14 foot of water drop. And those fish are hanging out anywhere that I can find the grass with the bluegills mixed in. Not necessarily a live scope thing. You could do it with side imaging, but if you can find those areas with those mixtures, that's where these fish are hanging out. So let's get back on the trolling motor, start fishing a little bit, and keep this thing rolling. We'll probably go do the shallow thing maybe around noon. So 3 more hours, 2.5, 3 more hours. I want that sun to get high. All these docks to get sun on them. I should push these shallow fish up under those docks, and then we'll go shallow and see what we can make happen. This is one thing I need to do if I'm going to stay out here for more than a couple more hours. Hydrate. It's already hot, but that wind is kind of deceiving because it's making me feel a lot better than I am. But I got to keep water, hydration. That's about the only way that I'm going to be able to stay out here all day long. There's one on the full. I did scope that one. Yes. It is. It's pretty big. It is bass. Some of them crush it on the fall, but a lot of them have not been. There were like 3 in there though, which I think is why he rushed over to it so fast. Hi there.
Up between those 2 docks,
Yeah.
you'll see a V in the wall. There's a 5-6 pounder that's cruising between just the deep drop off and the thin water. I don't know if he'll take, but
That's crazy. I'll have to go check it out.
the biggest thing you catch on this lake. So
That up.
yeah, right between those 2.
Wow. Okay, I'll go check it out.
Wood dock, a boat hoist, and then a steel dock. Right in between them, if you look at the seawall, you'll see it cut
Okay, awesome, thank you. Dude, that guy just told me there's a 5-6 pounder cruising super shallow. Let's go see. People in Michigan are so cool. So many places like don't want you to fish their docks or fish their area. This guy's like telling me where to go to catch a 5 pounder. Doesn't mean he's gonna be there or I'll be able to catch it, but where else in the country? Where else in the country can you go that they do that? That's crazy. Let's give it a shot. It's such a weird feeling because I'm catching them and I'm still catching them pretty good, but the hard part is I'm weeding through so many fish, which is fun. But I just don't know if there are any big ones out here doing this. Especially with that guy telling me he saw like a 5-6 pounder cruising shallow. Makes me think like that may be the way to go up and catch those big ones, like those big resident fish. That's a good one. Ugh. There we go. Thanks, bud. Look, right on the grass line. Just like we were talking about. It's weird how that happens. You get in the right areas, right bottom, you get in the right zones, and you catch good fish. Okay, we're kind of at the intersection now. We're at the intersection of making decisions on whether we start to push shallow or whether we stay deep. Now it's 10 o'clock. I just put a bunch of sunscreen on, and I don't know if the bite has slowed down a little bit or I'm just not seeing as many. I kind of changed areas because I was looking for those little bit bigger fish, and there's not as many bluegill over here. There's really not as much good grass over here. So what I might do is push back over to where we started, where we were catching all those fish, where we saw all those bluegill, where we were seeing all of those fish kind of roaming around those bluegill beds out deep, and fish through there a little bit longer, and maybe by 11 o'clock we make the decision to push shallow. That kind of sounds like the goal, game plan. The sun's starting to get high. That should start to position these fish. By 11 o'clock they should start to get up shallow under those docks, up around the shallow cover, and especially with that guy telling me he saw a 5.5-6 pounder up shallow. Makes me think, especially roaming shallow, it makes me think those fish are starting to kind of meander up there and get to where they want to be. But we're not catching any real giants. One of the problems I would say about fishing deep sometimes is that it can be a little difficult to sort through fish. I love catching them, but we're not catching, you know, those 4+ pounders that I think I could catch up shallow. On the other hand, up shallow you may only get 3 of those big bites. Those are resident fish a lot of times. Those are those fish that want to cruise up shallow, live up shallow, and spend their life shallow. But a lot of times they're the better ones, they're the right ones, they're the ones you want to catch. So having fun, but it's that dichotomy between getting shallow, staying deep, and whether you want to fish for numbers of bites or big bites. Okay, back to where we're getting bites this morning. I don't know if they were just better quality, more fish, more bait, but the ingredients were all here where it felt like I was getting a lot more bites. Not only a lot more bites, but some better fish. Some better fish. Oh, it's a small one. Maybe not. Maybe you're big. Maybe you're big. No. You're just a good one. Thanks, buddy. There's one. Oh, thanks, buddy. The other cool thing about this bait, I'm fishing a snack craw on the back. This is only my second snack craw that I've used. One, a pike basically ate off, and And this one I flipped over after I caught like 15 fish on it, and I'm continuing to fish it. Same ODB sniper. I've been retying, so we haven't broken off the sniper, and surprisingly no pike has bit it off. But that's pretty cool, isn't it? Right? One OW sniper probably caught me 30-40 fish so far. It's pretty sweet. There's one. Are you better? You feel better? Yeah, you're not bad. Not bad. Look at how they eat that jig every single time. I think this jig's so good. Thanks, buddy. So like, see all those bluegill right there, and then a ton up on that break? Like, this wasn't in the other spot. Like, there weren't bluegill like that. This is why this area of the lake is so good. There's just so much more bait, so much more forage. Not changed anything. I'm still fishing that grass edge. It's just, to me, it's about having the right forage and the right amount of it. It's a better one. Thanks, buddy. That's how they eat it, dude. Look at how deep he ate that. They eat it so good. Thanks, buddy.